Hello and welcome to the Not Checkpoint podcast. I'm going to mess that up every single time. This is Quicksave Radio. We changed the name last week. This is going to be a little bit of a different podcast. This is going to be our summary of all the E3 press conferences, and because there is so much to talk about, we're actually splitting up this podcast into multiple sections so that you don't have to sit down and listen to a 4-hour podcast, because that's how long we would have been going if we continued after Microsoft. So this hour and 40-minute podcast is just our summary of the Microsoft press conferences. Don't worry, the rest of them will probably all be a lot shorter because there was a lot less to talk about, especially the Square Enix and, well, I don't even think we made notes for PC gaming, so we'll see how it goes. This is me, and of course I'm joined by Owen as usual, and I'll join you at the end once we've finished our discussion. Enjoy.
It's going to be a strange podcast, isn't it? It's E3 then.
Yeah, it's E3. If you can't already tell in my voice, no, I'm not dead. Well, I am dead inside, but I haven't slept in about a week because E3 has ruined my sleep schedule. Been going to bed at 10 a.m. and then getting up at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I haven't actually slept yet. So
I've never known lethargy like this.
I know, it's ridiculous. I'd like to say that I've been doing work, and I've managed to publish one video this week, and I've also been writing up the conferences for the National Student as well. I did Microsoft, Bethesda, and I also did EA Play as well. It's been a hell of a busy week. So this podcast, we're not scrapping the usual structure completely. But we're just going to run through. We're going to run through each of the conferences fairly quickly, and then stop off on each of the topics that we want to delve into a little bit. But other than that, we should be breezing through pretty quickly, and then we'll talk a little bit about. We've got a couple of games that we've been playing this week that kind of relate to E3 and all that Lokigami at the end. So we'll do that towards the end. Okay, so let's jump straight in with. Well, I was going to say EA Play, but EA Play's not technically part of E3. It's just another conference that they do around that time, isn't it? They stopped doing it a couple of years ago.
I think a lot of people are kind of treating that as the excuse as to why they don't want to talk about it. I mean, similarly, Nintendo aren't really part of E3 either. They're there.
I mean, you say that. They do have a stage presence though, because they have the Nintendo Treehouse, and
I suppose.
I mean they call it out in their Nintendo Direct that this is the E3 Direct. So it's kind of the same as Google Stadia had their announcement that was very clearly not really E3, but it can't be a coincidence that Google schedule a live stream conference for 2 days before the biggest gaming
I suppose I suppose the point I'm making there is a lot of people are using EA Play not being part of E3 as their excuse as to why they don't want to talk about it, whereas I'm just going to come out and say that it was shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why we don't want to talk about it.
I mean, I appreciate the thing I appreciated this year was that they announced the schedule for everything days before. So they said right, we're having half an hour slots for our games. First up is Star Wars, then it's Apex, then it's Battlefield, then there's the 2 sports games that no one cares about, and then we'll do Sims. So I'm right, that's perfect, because now I can just tune in for the bits I want to watch and then piss off when the sports come on, which is exactly what I did. I didn't bother watching any of the FIFA or the it's Madden, isn't it?
Madden,
that they
yes.
showed. And apparently, well, I did some reading up, obviously, for writing it up for the National Student, and bugger all was talked about there. I watched it back at ×2 speed, and it was just people on the stage talking about who the favourite Premier League footballer was. I'm like, this is not the content I'm here for.
It's the full So how do you think they won? Why did they have the edge in that match? Well, to be honest with you, they just scored more goals.
They scored more goals, and at the end of the day, that's what matters, isn't it?
They scored more goals, and we didn't save that many. it's the same shit every time.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the only thing of note that they really showed off there was gameplay for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They talked about Apex Legends Season 2, which is basically it's happening, and the challenge it's got challenges in it now. It's not time based. Battlefield 5 is getting shitloads of new maps, but we already knew that already, so there was not a lot new that was shown at all. I think that's a kind of a trend for E3, to be honest. A lot of it was stuff we already knew about, and the stuff that was new is not coming for a while, so we didn't have any gameplay of it. So it was a bit of a weird E3. Sorry, let's jump right into Microsoft. So I would say, just off the top, this was probably my favorite conference of them all.
Oh, absolutely. I think just in terms of raw like power that it had, in terms of I was watching the entire way through. At no point was I bored, except for maybe the xCloud bit.
I
And
don't.
even then, I wasn't
I
bored. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, we have to show this. I know you have to show this.
I
Um,
think the only bit I got bored at was the Gears 5 bit. Just because they kept showing CG trailer after CG trailer and there was no gameplay and it was just buzzwords and I was like, okay, do we get to see it? No, okay, and now there's some wrestlers underneath the stage. The understage bit was cool, but it was just
the
a bit, it was
production
a bit
value was
jarring.
nice, yeah, but it was like
Yeah, excellent.
they kidnapped three WWE wrestlers and put them under the stage, and then they did nothing with them.
Yeah, well, no, they did. They showed it on Mixer. They called it out and said like,
Ah, did
right,
they now?
if you want to go watch this gameplay, these guys are streaming on Mixer now. Which of course nobody went to do because right
We're
after that
watching the
they had
conference.
we're watching the conference and they actually had good shit to show after that. So
I'm
um,
kind of sick of getting baited by Microsoft's like stage setup, because I always because I always think that they're gonna show some sort of mad multiplayer meme like Halo related, because they've got like all
yeah,
of those setups on stage, that they've got like 32 Xboxes and like PCs, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna get loads of people to come out and do a multiplayer demo, and then they just don't.
or if they do, they just bring four people out. So
Yeah,
it is a little bit pointless. I mean, I say that this is my favorite one. I feel like that's like they kind of had the advantage this year because any other third party developer really doesn't have anywhere else to go. Because usually, like they had the choice of either do you go Microsoft or do you go Sony's conference,
well, it's not
and
really a
because
choice. It's
Sony's not there
more
this year.
who gives you more money.
Yeah, exactly. And because Sony aren't there this year, it just felt like everybody was shoveled into Microsoft's. Um, so they kicked off first of all with The Outer Worlds, October 25th release date announced. New trailer, basically Fallout New Vegas in space. See, I think I'm actually less excited for this now because I don't know about you, that trailer seemed it looked very Fallout New Vegas, but it also looked like it had all of the things I don't like about Fallout New Vegas. That being clunky dialogue, clunky mechanics. The frame rate on the trailer wasn't great. I don't think the trailer looked that great, but that could have just been live stream compression. So I don't know. I think because they released some gameplay of this like a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago now, and it looked very buggy.
Mm.
So
Well,
I'm not
we
sure I'm convinced on this.
we even said while we were watching it, what engine is this on?
Yeah, because it
We
looks
don't
like the
know.
creation engine, but I don't
And
think it like.
if something looks like the creation engine, then there's a problem. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for that being said, Fallout 76, me and you both said when we were watching the new gameplay the other day that Fallout 76 does look nice at times, but
of course it looks nice, and admittedly, in the slightest update they've done to Fallout 76, it actually looks so much smoother than it was. It's
mm.
the full Battlefield 4, honestly, Fallout 76. Like it hasn't
Well, well,
it hasn't quite reached like the level of where Battlefield 4 is now in terms of where it was, but I think
yeah,
that's a good comparison to make. Especially, I mean,
the,
it's especially good because Battlefield 4 is the only game I could think of a living memory whose release actually created a lawsuit.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. Well, Fallout 76 certainly topped that, didn't it? So yeah, I'm not sure I'm sold on the Outer Worlds. I mean, it's coming out October 25th. That's like prime time for most releases. So if
I
I get around
think
to it,
it'll
then
be a very enjoyable game as long as you go into it of the mindset that you're playing a first person RPG and you're not playing a first person shooter. It's
I guess.
it's more of like a Deus Ex meme than a traditional Fallout meme. I mean, I think uh, I think the audience that it's going for are going to genuinely like it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Fallout New Vegas. I mean, if people who enjoy Fallout New Vegas, I think they're probably used to like engine bugs, and they'll put up with that shit. So, I
Well,
mean,
if it is on Creation Engine or if it's just similar to a Creation Engine game, then it's going to get an unofficial patch. So,
yeah, it will do. I can easily see the modding community getting really into that. So then we moved on to Ninja Theory. They have multiple games in development, and they showed off Bleeding Edge, which is a third-person competitive melee combat shooter thing. Apparently, it's been in the making for about 7 years. It's 4 versus 4, and it takes like the sort of it makes a sort of like a Mad Max aesthetic with like Rage 2 with like the Overwatch art style. You got like different characters with pretty unique designs. We haven't actually.
I can't necessarily work out what the age rating is on this because they didn't really show any gore as such.
Yeah, I mean, all we saw was a CG trailer. We didn't actually see any gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, it is called Bleeding Edge, so it might be.
Yeah,
it might be gory. So,
there's a technical alpha on June 27th, so we'll see by that. I think both me and you've signed up.
We both signed up for that. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. They did say specifically this is not a shooter. It's not a shooter. This is a melee game.
Yeah.
And I think we are out of the. We're definitely out of the era of the everyone's making a hero shooter. And this is, like I said, this isn't a shooter, it's a melee game. So, as I've seen, there's a lot of like comparison made to the Overwatch like art style and other hero-based games that have come out. I have to say that I am genuinely impressed with the art direction of this game because it's very hard to make, you know. I think when we were in the era of the hero shooter and specifically the MOBA, these games have so many characters in, and that's a lot of character design work. Like if you think about a general, just a general game that comes out, something like God of War, the character design work on that, while very important, primarily goes into about 4 or 5 characters. Whereas in something like Overwatch or a MOBA, you've got 30 to 40 characters that need to stand out. And when I looked at the characters in this, they are genuinely very good. Very, very good.
I mean, yeah, when I think about like I'm just thinking back to the trailer now, I can distinctly remember at least 3 or 4 different characters. So I mean, and that's just I've only seen that trailer once. So that you already know that's pretty good character design there.
Yeah.
I think, as I've said like multiple times on these podcasts, I am very, very sick of the hero genre. I hate it in that's the only thing I don't like about Black Ops 4 is that I have to be forced into like character abilities and things like that. I'm very much craving for like a loadout shooter where I can like customize shit and just do my own thing. But the fact that this is melee, I think mixes things up and makes it a little bit more interesting. I think there's a lot more, not like scope for like inventiveness and more creative like attacks and abilities. I think having like purely melee kind of limits you in that respect. Doesn't limit you. Makes it a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? You have to get more creative with your design, I think, when you make something more like melee based. So I'm quite interested.
It's always the case of one of the weird things in art is the more limited you are, the more creative you will be.
Yeah.
Which I think serves well for this game. For like melee is kind of making a return in games nowadays. Like For Honor is. I mean, I assumed, well, with a lot of Ubisoft games, I assumed that For Honor kind of just came out and then fell off, but it absolutely hasn't. It's got a very thriving player base. And then most recently with stuff like Mordhau and like Chivalry 2's got announced. People do seem to be really enjoying melee nowadays. And for the For Honor that I played, I really liked it. Sort of like controlling a battlefield in melee and not having to worry about like ultra sweaty shooting, and also kind of getting that element of fighting games where actual 1v1 fights feel a lot more intimate, because that's the best thing about a fighting game that is frustrating, because I really want to love them because they're really intimate, like thrilling games once you get a good match, but you're never going to get a good match.
Yeah.
So this is what I hope this game can like nail down, to have that like Overwatch element, but without the like, oh, I've been instantly killed by Widow. Oh, I can't do this. Like, so I hope it works out.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's Ninja Theory, so I mean, they've got a good pedigree of not necessarily multiplayer games, but certainly high quality. Like whatever they've done, they've put maximum effort into it. So
If it's a melee game that plays like DMC, then okay,
yeah, exactly. It'd be
sign me up.
fucking poggers. Yeah. Right, Ori and the Will of the Wisps release date February 11th, 2020. No more waiting. Bang up for that. I am playing that on launch. I think that's all that needs to be said.
I think everyone in our, well, not everyone, but most of the people in our friendship group were. I think Ori and the Blind Forest is an interesting game in that it took the very pretty 2D platformer and kind of elevated it above what people expect from that genre. You sort of buy a game like that and then you play it and it's like a 7 out of 10. That was a fun platformer. Whereas Ori and the Blind Forest is like, you think it's gonna be that, and then it's like a 9 out of 10 platformer. Like, it's so good.
Well, it's a 9 out of 10 platformer with an actual, like, a decent story and an incredible soundtrack attached to it. It's basically an album with a Metroidvania attached to it, as far as I'm concerned.
Is it I forgot his name. I think it's Gareth something that does the OST for that game, but it's an absolutely banging OST. That I think
it probably is.
I'm really excited for this most recent for the latest one because they're gonna probably port over all the moves that Ori had before, and then introduce new ones. I've seen some of the ones that I don't know if Ori's a he or a she, or maybe it's just an it. They're gonna port over that stuff. I've seen some of the new moves Ori has. Looks fantastic. I mean, we don't really need to talk about how beautiful the game is because
I was going to say the main thing that struck me, I think I said it like as soon as it loaded up, I was like this looks gorgeous, but then it's the 3D and like the depth of field sort of effects that go on in the background. Like they were there in the last one, but this one it just blows you away. It did me anyway when I first saw because I said to you in the Discord, I was like, Jesus, this is even on a compressed Twitch stream looks gorgeous. So yeah,
any game that feels like you're playing a CG trailer, and that feels like I'm playing a CG animation that someone's made for like a project. That's what it feels like. And
yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely outstanding.
I mean, we knew this was coming since like I want to say E3 like 2018, maybe even 2017.
I think it was 17.
But 70, yeah, we've known for a while, so now we finally have a release date, Feb 11th. That's not too much longer to wait. I mean, that game could take all the time it needs. Okay, right, Minecraft Dungeons. That we heard about this last year, and I thought last year it was supposed to be like a story-based, like almost like Minecraft story mode game, but not like not the Telltale formula, like a third-person thing or whatever. Turns out it's a Diablo clone, but it actually looks like way better than it deserves to be. I don't know about how you feel about this, but
it's interesting how that's
excited.
that's the thing I've heard a lot of people say is like, I don't like how good this looks.
Yeah,
and I mean that is very much the case. It looks very, very strong. I've been in the market for a Diablo game, and I didn't expect that Minecraft would be the thing that brought me back to the genre.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been
Minecraft
a lot of ARPGs.
It deserves.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, like, I think I've seen some not criticism, but some like, oh, it's like, why would you want to play a Diablo game if it's Minecraft themed? I was like, people don't give Minecraft the credit it deserves. Like, Minecraft is genuinely incredible for all ages, and I'm not just saying that to justify my playing of Minecraft, but
oh no, absolutely, there is no way you can say that it's not a genuinely incredible game, and we can say that now because Notch has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like people who like say they grow out of Lego when they reach the age of 18. It's just
bollocks. Like I can't stand that. I mean, we'll get to that later with the Forza thing, but yeah, like I've got a friend at college right now who is like an old, well, not like an old woman, like an older woman. She's like late 30s, like late 30s,
wow.
like early 40s. She's not going to watch this.
She's going to love you if she listens to this. I'm going to send it to her. I'm going to find out who she is and send this.
You'll never know.
To her.
You'll never know. So she's like late 30s, early 40s, and she plays Minecraft all the time. But she genuinely thinks it's like a brilliant game. And I know that. I think everyone's seen like videos of like the older generation even playing it and really enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's video game Lego.
basically, yeah. So I mean, this is coming out spring 2020. They didn't give a proper release date, but I'm genuinely excited to see where this goes. They said it's like 4-player co-op. It has a story, and I think the dungeons are all procedurally generated. So yeah, I think this game has a lot of potential. Next up, we had Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We just got a trailer at the Microsoft one, but we saw the full gameplay reveal at EA Play, so we'll talk a bit about that. This game, again, I think looks a lot better than it... Well, not better than it deserves to be, but a lot better than I thought it would do. So it takes like all the movement from like the Uncharted games. It's got wall running from Titanfall. Mix that in with a little bit of like Shadow of the Colossus. We saw like the main character Cal Kestis, I think he's called, like climbing up at an AT-AT that's covered in vines. That's just the movement. Then you get to like the combat, and it takes surprisingly like inspiration from the Dark Souls and like Sekiro games. So you can like lock on to characters. You have each enemy has a posture bar. You have a posture bar as well, and you can like you have to break enemies' posture before you can get like an instant kill, or you can just whittle down their health. Which I think, thinking back on it now, is the perfect match for a game where you use a lightsaber, because a lightsaber is like, you see them in the films and they're like ridiculously overpowered, like they just cut through anything. And I think it's quite hard to translate that into a game where it like you want to be challenged but not overpowered. And I think that like the death blow system in Sekiro is perfect because it does a really good job of challenging you, but then also making you feel ridiculously powerful when you get that skill curve right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's you can be wailing on in Sekiro, especially with bosses, you can be wailing on them for like, well, if you take it back to Dark Souls, you look at the bottom of the screen and you see this huge ass health bar, and you're like, fuck, I'm fighting a boss right now. And you're like, you feel so insignificant, which is the point of the game. And then you play Sekiro, and you're fighting this like boss, and you feel like you're on equal terms with him, and his health bar isn't moving. But then when you get the death blow, instant health bar disappears.
Yeah,
and you feel like really powerful.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly translated into like, it's the perfect gameplay mechanic to translate into a Star Wars game where you have such a powerful weapon like of the lightsaber.
Yeah, it's not a sword, is it? Like, it's not a sword or like a blunt weapon. If you get stabbed by a lightsaber, you're dead.
Yeah, like it's going through you no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then they also showed off like the force powers. So you've got like obviously like force pull, push, choke. And then they also showed off that you can like freeze time, very much like Kylo Ren in the new ones, which has brought up some interesting theories about the story, which I'm not too much of a fan of. I mean, I spoke up a little bit about this with you the other day, Owen, but I feel like, because I just finished watching X-Men Dark Phoenix, and I'm so sick of the X-Men movies this is a bit of a tangent, but it'll come back around, I promise. Basically every modern X-Men movie revolves around this idea that a hero is teetering on the edge of like good and evil, and they're not quite sure which way to go, and that's basically the entire, like, you know, that entire characters are built around that. I mean, Magneto for a start, the what do you call it? I don't even know what she's called. That movie was so boring, man. What's Sophie Turner's actual superhero called? Is it just Dark Phoenix?
Jean Grey.
Yeah, Jean Grey, that's the one.
Which is called Jean Grey, and then I only know her as... I think she's called... Right, this might be absolute bollocks, right? But I think she's called Phoenix.
Right,
and
okay.
I think there's Phoenix and Dark Phoenix.
Okay, right. I haven't seen the first, like, the original X-Men movies. I've only seen the ones first class forwards.
Well, the thing is, you've got into comics recently, so make sure you read about Phoenix, because Phoenix is a very, very cool character. Which from what I've read, they haven't done justice to.
Right.
We're getting very off topic.
This is very. But basically, what I'm saying is that if you think about like that sort of story thread of like teetering on the edge of like good and evil is very much what it's a bit of a trope of Star Wars as well. I mean, if you look at the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, that you play as a as an Imperial like stormtrooper, who then realizes that, are we the baddies? And then goes over to the other side, and it's like it's all about like deciding which side you're on, and the fact that this new character Cal Kestis has force powers that are very similar to Kylo Ren's kind of gives me the feels that maybe at some point in this story he's going to deter to the dark side, which I guess is what Star Wars is about, the light side and the dark side of the Force. I really hope that they do something interesting with it instead of just like, oh, is he going to be bad? Is he going to be good? Who knows? Find out in this story. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a fallen trope at this point.
I mean, it's a very. I think I've kind of talked about it at length with a few people about how I want more character-driven, like, in terms of motivation stories, or just in terms of, like, actual pure, like, willpower and how people deal with situations, than what we're seeing a lot of in media nowadays. I mean, I'll get around to it when we get to the Square Enix conference, but there's just so much media nowadays that is about light and darkness, and then it's always like... and people think they're being clever when they introduce, but you see, you can't have the light without the darkness. I'm like, oh yeah, how profound. Yeah, it's just common. And to be fair, the new
what about
Star
the
Wars
grey
films
area
are
between light and dark? That's another.
I was going to say that's what the new Star Wars films are doing. It's like, we only need a grey area now. You see, but maybe the Jedi aren't so good. Maybe the Sith aren't so bad. It's like, yeah, like maybe people are kind of getting invested in that. And I guess if you don't consume a lot of media, you might kind of still see these things as quite profound. But I'm kind of sick of it, and I want more just character-focused story work.
That's why I'm also a little bit annoyed because I really think that they missed obviously, we don't know what the story is yet. It could be something genuinely incredible and groundbreaking. But I really feel like they could have gone with a main character that isn't a white male human, and maybe gone for like an alien of a different race and gender.
Well, we know that Jedis can be any race.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, can you do something a little bit interesting than just another white male human, please? Because it's a little bit boring. But we don't know what this story.
I'm also I'm a bit disappointed also that they had the opportunity to do anything here, and they decided to work within the Skywalker saga, because as much as that's good, I mean, I do think that's quite restrictive. I am basically begging for Star Wars media from the Old Republic. I want it so bad, and I don't know when it's going to come.
I think it'll be soon. I think that the reason that this is in the middle of the Skywalker saga is probably Disney, because I think that they at the minute they're tying up the Skywalker saga with Episode 9, and I think they want to sort of have like a fresh start for when they start establishing the rest of the universe. Like, they want to do it on their terms. They don't want it to start with a video game. They're probably going to start like a new franchise of films,
but it just feels
a TV
kind of
series or whatever.
To me, it just feels kind of pointless. If you're creating a story set in the middle of the Skywalker saga, something as universe, as important to that universe as it is, and how encompassing it is to the universe, like planets blowing up, the Sith kind of controlling everything with the Empire and stuff. If this is just set like bang in the middle, like, then
the start and the end.
I know the start and I know the end, and this character...
Nothing's lost, nothing's gained.
Nothing's lost, nothing's gained. Plus, this character isn't... I mean, I don't know for sure, but I can pretty much guarantee he won't be in Episode 9. And he wasn't in any Star Wars film before this. So, why should I care?
Yeah, a little bit. I get what you mean. I mean, the gameplay does look genuinely quite fun. It looks like you've got quite a lot of creativity with the Force powers. They showed off like one move where a stormtrooper like shoots a blaster bolt, and then you freeze the bolt, and then pull this stormtrooper, and then like he shoots himself in the back with his own blaster bolt, which is pretty cool. So at least there seems to be some sort of like creativity there with the combat. So
I'm not going to judge the combat yet. From what I saw. Basically, what they showed at EA Play, they said that it was being played by one of their star players, which means I've decided is the worst term
Basically basically a journalist.
Basically a journalist. Yeah, I couldn't quite work out if it was the sort of RPE3 style slow panning shot play bollocks that they always do, or if it was just the game itself. But when I first watched that gameplay, it looked super clunky and something felt off. And I'm kind of
Yeah,
hoping
although
that on release it isn't like that at all.
from what I've heard, because I've been watching a couple of videos from like people who were at E3 and played this, they've said that it's a lot more nuanced than it looks. Like you can look at the game and it might look clunky and boring to you, but when you're actually playing it, there's a lot of stuff going on that doesn't really translate to somebody watching. So I'm hoping that that's the case. They also said that it was being played on like the easiest difficulty, so you can notch things up. Whether that increases enemy health or makes them more aggro or whatever, I'm not quite sure. But
Well,
we'll have to see.
I think I made the comparison of watching someone play DMC 5 on easy is the most boring shit you've ever seen.
Yeah,
It
so
looks like a terrible game, but if you play it on the hardest difficulty, like that is the 10 out of 10 hack and slash that people say that it is. So that's
yeah,
what I'm hoping this game to be.
yeah. Well, we'd have to wait much longer to. I think it's coming out November 15th or something like that. Yeah, I think I've got that right. Okay, next up was surprisingly a Blair Witch game, which I didn't catch who was developing this, but I think it's
Neither
an
did I.
Xbox first party thing.
I'm happy I called this.
Yeah, well, first of all, we thought it was Alan Wake because it was very Alan Wakey to begin with.
Well, he had his dog. He had his dog. He had a flashlight. There were
Yeah,
demons. I was waiting for him to point his flashlight at a demon, and it like sort of evaporates, and he shoots it because that would have been the sickest reveal ever. But then
yeah,
that didn't happen, and then I was like, right, is this just some sort of first party like horror meme? And it looked spooky as shit. Like this looks like
spooky.
this could be next level. Like this trailer had so much influence. Well, maybe not influence, but like stuff. I don't want to say taken either, but right, via pure coincidence, this trailer kind of baits you into thinking it's so many different games. Because
I mean,
first
yeah,
I thought it was
it's got
Alan
Alan
Wake.
Wake,
Yeah,
then it was Outlast.
then yeah, Outlast because you look at the camera. He's looking
Yeah,
through the camera because I was like, oh shit, is this Outlast 3? But then it didn't quite fit the like semi-realism of Outlast.
yeah,
And then it pans over and you see a guy staring into the corner of a room, and I was like, it's Blair Witch. And I was like, it
yeah,
can't be Blair Witch though, but it was Blair Witch.
yeah.
And it
I mean,
looks
I
like some
haven't
sort
seen.
of Groundhog Day meme.
Yeah, I think that was another theme of E3 was the groundhog
Yeah, there was a lot of
Lockigami.
that.
There was a lot of that. I haven't actually seen any of the Blair Witch films because I'm a horror pussy.
I think there's
So
only
I'm
one.
not. Is there one? Okay,
Maybe there's
right.
two.
No, I think.
No, they had a
I
remake.
think. Yeah, they had a remake like a
They had a
couple of years
remake
ago.
a few years ago, yeah. But
We might
basically,
have to do like a.
Blair Witch was a pretty groundbreaking film because I think it sort of kicked off the found footage genre.
Right. Okay.
It was just like, and people like it kind of started that like it was in the infancy of the internet where it was
Yeah.
had a lot of viral marketing done for it. Where they were kind of releasing found footage stuff, and they were like, "Oh
Right.
shit, what the fuck is this?" Like, and then they were like, it's a film." People were like, "Oh, okay." Then they'll go and see it. It was
Yeah.
it's a very interesting thing to look up. How that is kind of ground zero for a lot of like marketing campaigns and a lot of hype building. Very, very interestingly marketed film. Um, and it's crazy to me. Like I don't know, like you say, I don't know who's developing this, but I think this has potential to get into the sort of annals of horror games because horror games kind of suck for the most part, especially if
I
you
mean,
watch like indie horror, like
yeah. Well, I was gonna say
Greenlight on Steam.
horror games are a bit of a meme at the minute, aren't they? Like it's like oh, yeah.
It's like,
Um,
well, but it's the full uni student, isn't it? That's the problem with horror games. Like, it's the full uni student who's like, right, I'm gonna build a house with assets in it in the middle of a forest for my uni project, and then I'm gonna put it on Steam Greenlight. And because Steam Greenlight is shit, it gets revealed, and people pay $5 for it.
I
That's
feel
the
like horror
problem.
games are like the easiest to make.
They really
they're
are.
like they're the easiest to make, but they're also like it's very easy to make it shit. Like it's very easy to make it shit, very difficult to make it very
Because it's
good.
very, very hard to scare people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone's different, aren't they? I think we might have to have like a because I only ever watch horror films when I'm with other people, and I only do it for the meme. So I think we might have to have a Blair Witch Lokigami.
Yeah, I can't.
To
I can't recall watching a horror film where I felt. Look,
I think Alien
recently
is the only exception.
with people. I mean, like when I watch a horror film with people, I can't get scared because we're all just kind of taking the piss. And I think
I
it's
mean, we did that
because
with we
with
watched Woman in Black
Woman in
too,
Black,
and
yeah,
that was
um,
just a horrendous meme.
yeah. Well, the first one's good. The second one, awful.
Yeah,
Um, we kind of watch them as a group, and I feel like when you're watching as a group, you're almost peer pressured into not being scared because if you get scared, then you just because you don't like no
you're
one
the
else is
pussy
scared.
bitch. Yeah.
Well, I feel like everyone's scared, but in everyone pretending not to be scared, no one is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the last film that I recall kind of being scared by is The Shining, and that came out in like the 70s. So I think modern
I haven't
horror
seen that
is
yet.
pretty shit because people are so tolerant to stuff now.
Yeah,
But I think video games are the way to go in terms of horror nowadays. There's some properly good horror games that have released, and I hope that this is as good.
Outlast one's great. Don't bother with two.
Two is
Um,
awful.
it is proper shit. Yeah, so I think I can smell a stream coming on with Blair Witch. We'll have to see.
Faux show.
Yeah. Cyberpunk 2077, possibly the greatest thing to have happened all year, to be honest. There was a brand new CG trailer, and then they revealed that Keanu fucking Reeves plays an NPC, and then lo and behold, he walked out on stage, announced to the world that everyone in that conference center was breathtaking, and then announced the release date. And honestly, I think I'm still recovering.
I was just like,
So
it's just such an off the wall like mental reveal. Like it all just happened. Like do you know when something mad happens and you sort of recover, you're sort of reeling from it, and then something else mad happens, and you're like, wait, right, okay, I can't handle this. Like
yeah,
I
like
saw him on screen, I was like, right, so Keanu Reeves is in the game, that's amazing, and then he's there. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
and
well
then
I
he's
can't
there.
deal with this.
And then the release date got announced, and I'm like, hang on. I can't comprehend a release date. I'm still coming to terms with the fact that I'm going to be like talking to Keanu Reeves in the game, which I actually feel kind of bad for the next game that's up on the list, Spiritfarer, because I can't remember shit about this game because I was
I
too busy
can.
getting excited. I
Thank
know you
Christ.
can. Well, it looked pretty, but like that's all I remember from it because I was too busy tweeting witty things about Keanu. Going back to Keanu for 2 seconds, I promise I'll shut up about it in a minute. So yeah, the game's releasing on April 16th, which is nowhere near as far away as I thought it would be. To me, like Cyberpunk 27 is such an ambitious pipe dream that it feels to me it should be like a 2021, 2022 thing. But if they feel it's ready for 2020, whatever. I mean, it's got to release it. Like a game is never finished; it only ever ships,
Yeah.
and it's got to ship at some point.
I mean, you say that,
Um,
but I mean, it's been in development for so long.
that's true. I mean, we
If
don't
you
know
look at
how
its
far off.
initial, like its initial reveal, which was what, like 2014,
2013.
13. Well, I mean, by the time it ships, it's a 7-year dev cycle.
Yeah,
And now
exactly.
they have
So yeah,
I know they
it is
have a
about right.
studio. They have a studio big enough, which is now probably bigger after the release and success of Witcher 3.
Yeah,
And we know what they
exactly.
can
I
do
mean,
with Witcher
they've
3.
grown so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about The Witcher later. I can't wait to gush a little bit. So we know a little bit about his character now. He was so you play as shit. What are they called? What's the main character? He says like wake up samurai. That's it. He was like the
Yep.
founder of the samurai, like in Night City apparently. And I think he might be dead. You know how he's got like a weird, like a little like glitch to him, in the trailer. Apparently he's an AI. So he used to be a person, but he was like reincarnated in AI. So he like apparently he stay if you want him to, he can stay with you like the entire game, like is as an AI chip in your head. I'm very much looking forward to having Keanu Reeves in as an AI chip in my head. So yeah, I mean I don't know how some other people feel about this. I know some people don't particularly like having like celebrity cameos in their games because it like takes you out of it a little bit. But I mean, if you've played any game for the last 5 years, if you don't recognize Troy Baker and Nolan North as your every
Yeah.
single main character, I mean, I don't really think that excuse works, to be honest.
I mean, it's like with me specifically, someone who watches a lot of cartoons, a lot of animation, and plays a lot of games in that like in that stead as well. Pretty much the first 2 hours of every game or show that I watch is going, right, so you're that person, you're that person.
Yeah.
I know you from this, I know you from this, and then trying to forget who they actually are. Because it just feels
exactly.
like a mad crossover. I don't have a problem with it. If he's like, I always say with stuff like this, as long as they're here because they want to be and they're not collecting a check, I'm fine with it. And I don't think Keanu is the kind of guy to collect a check.
Keanu Reeves looked like the happiest puppy alive being on that stage. He looked like that's the thing about Keanu. He's just happy to be anywhere. He's such a wholesome human being.
Well, I don't think he's actually used to kind of being in front. It's interesting, isn't it, to think about actors. And you kind of think about actors as like these ultra confident like socialites, and I think that's probably because of like how we see the Marvel guys on set. Like they're going to talk show after talk show, and they've got their Instagram stories, and they're doing signings and going to meetups and things like that. And I feel like there's so many actors who are in multi-million-dollar films who go up, who show up, shoot the shots, and then just go home.
I mean, Bill Murray, like of Ghostbusters fame, famously is his own agent. Like, if you want him in a film, you just ring him up, and he's like, "Yeah, go on, I'll do it then."
Bill,
like, Bill, can I borrow you for a minute? It's like, "Go on then." So yeah. I mean, I'm very excited for this. What was it? Yeah, April 16th, 2020. Not that far away at all. The only thing I'm annoyed about is that is bang slap in the middle of when I'm going to be doing my dissertation next year, which I'm not looking forward to because I'm going to have to hold out. This is because it's releasing then. It's now no longer a launch date for me because I need to focus. I need to prioritize my degree more than.
Well, that can be your motivation.
Yeah, as soon as I get that degree, that dissertation handed in, I'm going offline for a month and just playing Cyberpunk, pretty much. All right, let's move on. Spiritfarer, did you have anything to say about this?
Yeah. So this is a game that I think the way I described it was, this looks like an absolutely fantastic game that I won't be able to play.
Oh yeah, this is the one you mentioned about having you supposed to... What is the concept of it? Because you explained it to me.
Spiritfarer, essentially, you play as a girl, like not a young girl, probably like 11, 12, and she's essentially like the cutest Grim Reaper you've ever seen. Because she... In a lot of like folklore and mythology, there's a concept of like the Fairy of the Damned. And that's where spirits go who are kind of... Someone dies and then they go to the Ferry of the Damned and then they're shipped to the afterlife. And this girl basically runs this ferry, who I believe... And she is called the Spiritfarer, which is the title of the game. And the gameplay of the game is essentially maintaining this ship in a sort of Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing sort of way. Like, holding it out against weather, kind of exploring, going to different areas, things like that. But the overall objective is you'll get new people coming onto your ship, spirits who have just died, and your job is to essentially do activities and interact with them in a way that makes them comfortable to move on. So this
sounds dark as fuck.
But it's not. That's the thing. It's a dark as fuck game that is probably too wholesome. It's like wholesome and dark at the same time. So I don't see how people are going to be able to play this, because it's just going to be like the ultimate heart ripper.
Yeah, I mean the arts. I mean, the only thing I do remember about this game was the art style, and it looked bright and colourful and like not hand drawn, but that sort of aesthetic. So that doesn't seem to fit that story whatsoever. Well, no, it does fit like one side of the story, I guess. But yeah, the fact that you've got something as dark as that lingering in the background is probably a little bit off-putting for me.
I think what it's going to touch on is this sort of Western concept of mortality. That other cultures don't have. Like if you look at things like the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and like places in Asia, the way we treat death and the afterlife is so different to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this game might be putting across, is sort of kind of teaching us how to deal with mortality differently or looking at it in a different way. And
Yeah, that's
unfortunately,
a super interesting concept.
And unfortunately, as interesting concept as it is, I don't think that a lot of people are ready for it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I probably won't be playing this purely because for that reason. To be honest, I mean, I don't know. I played Gree. This
Yeah, great. Well, Grey was similar, isn't it?
Yeah, very similar sort of both in aesthetic and in sort of like the whole emotional story of moving on. So yeah, very interesting concept. I didn't catch when this is releasing either. I've been horrendous with release dates.
I don't think it had I don't think it had a release date. I think they just showed it.
Okay, I think this was the point. I think where they did their like idea Xbox indie breeze through. I didn't make any note of anything in particular, but I mean it looked pretty and the music was all right as idea Xbox usually is. Yeah, and then they moved on to Battletoads, which is a 3v3.
And now for something completely different.
And now for something completely different. Oh no, that was Bethesda, wasn't it? Yeah, Battletoads is Is it a 3-player co-op?
3-player local. I don't know if it's online. But three player. I know it's for sure 3-player local. Beat 'em up. Taking inspiration from how Cuphead translated the animation style of 1940s and 30s cartoons, is now translating kind of modern day style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon into a playable video game, and it looks very strong. I don't like beat 'em ups, partly because I hate having to get onto the same plane as someone else, otherwise my punches miss. I hate that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But visually, very impressive, and I like how they brought the title back. It'll have clout, and I think it'll sell well.
It'll have clout, people will buy it, that's all that needs to be said, move on. RPG-Time, Legend of Wright.
The main RPG-Time Legend of Wright. Main problem with this game is
title.
As cool as it look. Well, first of all, the title, because right. Can I use this opportunity to talk about how game developers need to learn how to title their fucking games?
Yeah, go ahead. I've got a Coke here.
Right. Why can't? Well, I'll say it again. Game devs, why can't you just title a game? Why can't you give it a title? Why does it have to like? Usually,
just give it a name, forehead.
Just give it a name. Like, usually, you look at any film or the games that have come out in the past, like, forever. You have a game with a singular name, right? So off the top of my head, let's look at Elden Ring, right? When Elden Ring releases, it'll be called Elden Ring, and that is great. And then, if there was a sequel to Elden Ring, it would be called Elden Ring 2, some sort of fantasy nonsense, and that would be the subtitle, wouldn't it? It would be like Elden Ring, The Two Towers.
Yeah, some bollocks like that.
Yeah, but a lot of developers now have decided, we're just going to create the name of our franchise and then give the first game in the franchise a subtitle. So I don't know what the game's called, and the title of the game is ridiculously long. Like,
I mean, you say that, but then the Lord of the Rings was like the first one was always. I think was it always the Fellowship of the Ring? That one always had a subtitle.
It did, yeah, but they knew that was going to be a franchise.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I think the only time this has really worked. So sometimes it works because you get a title which is short and snappy, even with the subtitle, like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
and Zero Dawn makes sense to the story of that game.
Sorry.
Sorry, what?
No, I was going to say, don't explain what Zero Dawn means, because
I'm not gonna.
Still haven't finished it.
But there's been a lot of, like, specifically fantasy games, where it's like, the King's Meme, son of Elden bollocks. And it's like, just call it something else. Just give it a nice little name. Like, this game would be awesome if it was called either RPG-Time, because that's quite a good name, or The Legend of Wright.
Yeah, it feels like they had two great names. They couldn't decide between the two.
Because no one's sitting around the water cooler, are they? Going, so what did you play last night? Oh, I played Splitgate. Oh yeah, Splitgate. That's a good name. What did you play? I played RPG-Time: The Legend of Wright.
Or what was the other?
No one's doing that.
I can't remember it. I'm not. There was another one in the Square Enix thing.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. The fucking Dragon Age game. Yeah, I was playing Dragon Age 12,
yeah.
Echoes of Elusive Age, Definitive Edition S. Oh, cool. Like,
Remastered.
fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just call it something else.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of gameplay, though, what is, because like you're like sort of transitioning between like pages of a book,
I think,
and doing some sort of like platforming Wakigami.
that was also the problem with this trailer, is that I don't know what the fuck this game is. I can sort of figure it out, and it looks like a sort of a table. Like, have you ever played those? I think everyone has at one point, like the sort of choose your own adventure books,
Yeah.
but sort of in an RPG style way. Like I only played the books that were like turn to page 17.
Yeah,
You know what
I had some Doctor Who ones that were like that.
But there was another series of books that I've seen played on like live streams sometimes, where you needed a piece of paper and a dice, which was like
right.
you sort of go somewhere and it's like, right, so you meet this person, choose what you want to do, and then you roll the dice, and that determines what happens. And these books are like really thick because of how many options there can be. It seems that's kind of what this game is. It's like you have a level, you have HP, you have probably like mana as well, and it puts you in a variety of puts you in a variety of scenarios, and you can you sort of transition through all of these things, and it's all hand drawn, and it's all taking place on top of a desk. And like, concept wise, it's absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure when you actually get to play it, it's all going to make sense. You're going to know what everything is, you're going to know where everything is, you're going to know where to go. I think it'll be great. I think the main problem with this game, and it's probably not its fault, you can't really transition it into a trailer very well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it looked like it was just sort of gameplay that was cut together, and yeah, I mean that works for some games, but this one was very hard to follow if you don't know what's going on. Certainly was for me anyway, especially coming off shit like Battletoads and Spiritfarer, which were all like very like eye catching and like
you can kind of look at it and know kind of immediately what's going on.
Yeah, and this one I had absolutely no idea, so it lost me with that. Also, it doesn't really look like my kind of game, so I'm probably going to miss this one. But it'll probably find an audience. I mean, if it's
I'm going to play it for sure. I think
if it's part of the idea Xbox thing, then it'll be on Game Pass. So
yeah,
and I'll talk about Game Pass in a minute because that's had some changes to it. So yeah, they've changed Game Pass. Well, they announced Game Pass Ultimate like a few weeks ago, which was $14.99. Included the Xbox Game Pass and included Xbox Live, which is what I've been saying was going to happen for like a year now. I was like, why would Microsoft keep charging two subscription models that like complement each other? And like, you know, if you want to play like a multiplayer game that's on Xbox Game Pass, you then have to have Xbox Live as well. So you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's just the ultimate consumer confuser. No one wants that.
Yeah, I mean, this might confuse things more. It simplifies some things, but I mean, if I had to explain to my nan which subscription service I needed her to get me, she would not have a fucking clue where to start.
I think you'd end up with. I think you'd probably end up with a subscription to old school RuneScape.
I'd end up with PlayStation Now or something like that, completely different. So they announced Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is in open beta now, and at the minute costs $5 a month, but will go up to $10 a month in September when all of the catalog releases, because I think they're releasing it out like slowly. Basically, they've like curated a load of Xbox games that are available on Xbox, but like work well on PC, and they're available for a monthly fee through the through the Microsoft Store on Windows 10. And the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate now includes not just Xbox Game Pass for console and Xbox Live, but also Xbox Game Pass for PC. So if you're one of these mad people that own an Xbox and a PC, this is for you. You'll get the most out of this. I mean, this is fine. Like, yes, it makes things a tad more confusing, but people will probably find
it's confusing because Game Pass Ultimate, like, especially if we look at other subscription services that have been announced, when you hear the name Ultimate, you feel like if you're not paying for Ultimate, you're missing out on certain games, but you're not.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, if you don't, the only reason you should get Xbox. Actually, no. Well, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate does also have some other benefits. So it gives you the Ultimate Edition of the new games that are releasing, which usually gets you like early access by like 4 days, kind of like
Okay.
Origin Premiere. So there are some benefits to getting Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, but 99% of the time you'll be fine with Xbox Game Pass for PC because that gets you like the standard editions of the new games that are coming out, like Gears of War and
Yeah, and that's
Forza.
like on release as well. Like
It's
if
on.
you
I
have
mean, yeah,
if you have standard Origin access, you're not getting access to new games that come out. You need the premium, I think it's called Origin
yeah,
Access Premium.
it's something like that. Yeah,
So I think it sounds like the problem with it is it sounds like if you have Game Pass Ultimate, that's the only way to get new games.
yeah, but it's not. If you have Xbox Game Pass for PC, you're fine.
That's the best way to. I mean, I don't know when we're going to talk about subscription services in this podcast, but
I think we can bring it up briefly because I was going to mention because I read a great article from The Guardian the other day, which is like, like the games industry seems to be running towards like subscription services as the next big thing. But then you look at like the movie industry and the movie and the music industry. You got people like Steven Spielberg saying that Netflix is killing the movie industry, and like artists saying Spotify is crippling our income, and yet like the games industry seems to be running towards subscriptions as if it's the next big thing. But
well, they
I mean,
say that. I mean, they if it was crippling everyone's income, no one would be doing it. So someone's profiting from it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Steven Spielberg said that about 3 months before he started making TV shows for Apple TV. So, I mean, he kind of ruined his credibility a little bit
Yeah,
there.
I don't know if this is like, I don't know if this podcast is going to necessarily be the time to talk about subscription services because with Stadia and xCloud being announced a bit later in this press conference, I think we need an entire, well, not an entire podcast, but we need a good chunk of a different podcast to talk about
Yeah,
it.
we can do that next week, I think.
But ultimately, with these subscription services, I think the main thing that I've seen from a lot of like streamers and people who work within the industry, these are people who work within the industry, and while I'm not a game developer and I'm not a streamer, I would say that I do pretty much live and breathe games pretty hard. Like I know what's going on. I feel like I'm so far within the ecosystem of games and I follow all the news that I kind of know what's going on. And people like you and me who do, streamers and game developers, are looking at these like subscription models and they don't understand them. If
Yeah.
we can't understand them, how the fuck are the how the fuck are normal people going to understand them?
It's kind of the same because like these subscription services now have overlap, which makes things which is what makes things confusing, and it's kind of similar to. Do you remember when Anthem released and it had that like you needed a not Gantt chart, like a fucking Venn diagram to figure out
which version do you want? This is when this launches. This is when this launches. Like
you get this in this version, but not this in this version. But this
Yeah.
version gets this, but yeah, it's like there's so much overlap, it makes things so confusing. That
things are getting really, really overly complicated.
it's
I think
unnecessary.
it comes down to like a design thing as well, like design. And this is probably something I'm gonna learn a lot more of, but I've learned this year at college, is the way people design things is basically when you're designing something, what you think of it means fuck all. It means nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you're a developer watching someone else play your game, the number one thing you're going to think the entire time is, why is this person an idiot? Why can't they figure it out? Why can't they just do the thing I want them to do? And that's because you haven't designed it properly. And it's very hard for people to accept that. Like, the people who've designed these subscription models are probably marketed them, and like if you look at the like pages as well, especially for Stadia, the way it's all laid out is very sort of blocked out, and it's all very clean and crisp and makes sense, and they're like, okay, people are going to understand this, but they don't. There needs to be more QA. You need to, if you're going to launch something like this, and we saw this with Xbox One like 6 years ago, if you're going to do something like this, you've got to make it clear and you've got to make sure people know what they're paying for, because this is money. People are not going to pay for something they don't understand, and that's the downfall, I think, of subscription services right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Xbox Game Pass is probably in the best position of all of them, because I mean, Ubisoft announced one, which we'll talk a little bit about. Oh, no, we'll talk about that now. Ubisoft announced one in their conference called Uplay Plus, which is basically their version of it, and you pay like, was it expensive? I think it was like $15 a month, wasn't it? It was quite expensive.
It was,
but you,
I think it was
yeah,
like
it was 50...
nine. I think it was $9.99, and then $15 got you something else, and I forgot what it was.
Let me have a quick look. See, so Uplay Plus subscription service, 100 plus games. Nope, $14.99. Launching in September, includes new releases.
Way too much.
I don't think.
Way too much. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think that's very overpriced.
So, but yeah, and yeah, you basically just get all the new. You get a massive catalog of old Ubisoft games and like all of the new ones at launch. But I think Game Pass is probably in a much better position than that, because you don't like. Oh, well, obviously you don't just get. You get all the games that. All the games available on Game Pass are available on Xbox, but you get such a much wider variety of games. It's not just like from one developer, and obviously you get absolutely shitloads of indies on there, which honestly I think is why I might pick it up. I mean, I have been paying. Game Pass has been available on PC, but in a very limited form. You literally get about 5 games on there, and that's like Forza Horizon 4, Sea of Thieves. That's actually how I play Sea of Thieves. I don't own Sea of Thieves. I just, whenever I want to play it, I pay £8, or actually because they have shitloads of like deals. So I got 3 months of Game Pass for £1 the other day.
Yeah,
and I'm still going on that, playing Sea of Thieves. So I think I definitely will probably be picking up. It's great as well if you just like think, oh, I want to play this game. I'll be done with it in a week. I'll just pay for a month of Game Pass and then get it done in during that time, and I've saved myself some cash. Games like Halo I'll probably still pick up, like actually buy, because I intend to play them for years to come. But for just like the odd indie Game Pass is in a great position. Right, let's fly through some of these. So Microsoft Flight Simulator is back. It uses cloud tech to render genuinely stunning visuals. It genuinely looks like lifelike. I'm going to show this to my granddad, because he's a sucker for like flight sim. He flies like he builds and flies model airplanes like every weekend. And he used to have a flight simulator on his PC, but his PC's like old and decrepit now. So, I'm definitely going to show him this on like.
It's Earth then. That's the trailer. It's Earth then. Like.
They didn't like specify how big it was going to be, but it looked like it encompassed if not the entire world, like at least the like biggest main cities. I don't know how big the last Microsoft Flight Simulator was, but if this thing has like a VR version, I am getting my granddad into this, because he fucking loves shit like this. Age of Empires 2 is getting a remaster. I think it's been like remastered about 3 or 4 times now. This is like just another one.
It's the full remaster again.
Yeah, again. So
it looked good.
People are interested in that. It does look good, to be fair. I mean, yeah, not to diminish it. It did look good, and I think as we discussed last week, I really need to play a decent RTS, and I think Age of Empires is probably one of the ones. If not, what was the other RTS you'd recommend last week? Was it StarCraft? That was it.
Well, StarCraft 2 campaign.
Yeah,
campaign, not multiplayer. You go near the multiplayer, you'll run away and never turn back.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition might be the one for me. Wasteland 3, we knew this was coming, but yeah, we got a full trailer set in like a really cold Colorado.
Strange trailer, this one, isn't it?
It was strange, because I didn't think this would be Wasteland, because from what I understand of the Wasteland franchise, it's very like serious and definitely not comical at all, and or at least that's what it looked like from all the like things I've seen on Steam about Wasteland 1 and 2. So this was very strange to go for a kind of self-aware.
I think they're playing it the same way that sort of BioShock played its trailers, is they introduce the world in a sort of very much like this trailer did, a sort of cartoony, sort of self-aware, crazy sort of way. But when you actually sit down to play the game itself, all of that's gone.
Right. Okay.
I think that's what they're going for.
Gameplay looked good. I mean, I'm not really too into XCOM like. Well, mind you, I like Mario and Rabbids, but that's like
the combat in Wasteland. The combat in Wasteland is it's like a more complex Divinity Original Sin 2.
Oh,
It's the
okay, right.
best way to say it. It's like
More
XCOM, but there's
complex than
no
that.
grid. Huh?
I shat myself at Divinity Original Sin 2. That's another shit name. Actually, no, it's an alright name. It's just mouthful,
Well,
isn't
I
it?
mean, it works because there's a franchise called
Yeah, it's
Divinity.
just
So
yeah, it's a mouthful when you have to say it on a podcast.
why did you shoot yourself at that game?
No, because it's difficult, isn't it? You
It,
said
it
it's
is.
like it's just there's so
It's a
many
very hard
systems.
game. It's a
There's
hard
so many
game if you've
systems you have
never
to think
played.
about, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's a hard game unless you've never played a CRPG. Like
Which I yeah
I think DOS 2 and as well as Wasteland. Like the problem with CRPGs is new people come into them who've played tons of games throughout their life, who are actually good at games, right? Or just like have experience, and they'll go, "This game's bullshit. Like, why can't I beat any of these fights? Like,
yeah.
why do I
That was
feel
me
so
in Divinity.
underpowered?" And then someone who actually plays these games will go, "What are you talking about? This game's easy. I've had no problems." It's like, fuck off.
Yeah,
Like,
that's exactly what I got from like 'cause I was trying to find help on Twitter. I was like, how do I do this? How do I play Divinity Original Sin 2? Because I paid 50, no, I paid about 40 quid for it, and I was really excited for it, but I don't know how to play it. And everyone was like, you should just play it, forehead. I'm like,
I'm like,
it's not difficult.
I'm like, you're clearly. I think if you've played a lot of those games, you're probably not gonna experience the problems. But I think if a normal, not even casual, like if a gamer like you and me who've played a lot of RPGs even come into a game like that and we can't figure it out, if we're walking around tutorial island and we have no idea what to do and we're trying to get into lots of fights and we can't beat a single one, it's like there's a problem.
Mm.
And that's why these games turn me off.
Yeah, that's it. I'm exactly the same. Like people will enjoy Wasteland 3. It won't be me. It's just not my thing. Next up, Tim Schafer walked on stage. He announced that the Double Fine Productions has joined Xbox Game Studios as their first party lineup. Psychonauts 2 will still release on Xbox, PS4, and PC, but after that they are like an Xbox primary studio. We then got a Psychonauts 2 trailer. Still no release date, but decent enough trailer.
I mean, Psychonauts 2 is just going to be the old. It's going to be fantastic. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I, I
Double Fine
recommend.
put out is
I definitely recommend Psychonauts 1.
Does it hold up?
Oh yeah,
Does
it holds
Okay.
up. It holds up. Like it's got. It's not like modern day platforming, but the platforming still works just fine. And I think
Right, okay.
like concept wise, this has annoyed me this a little bit. Because the reason I've got so into the Persona franchise recently is because I absolutely loved the concept and no other game was doing it, and then I realized Psychonauts did it in 2005.
Right.
So like,
What?
this game is extremely good. I don't know if the premise.
Not really.
The premise essentially, you're part of a organization, like an academy of, and I forget their name, but it's like you essentially dive into people's minds to find out information.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like you go into someone's head, and what's inside their head, the world inside their head is a manifestation of what they think. So like secrets that they have close to them are like hidden in bank vaults. They have literal pieces of luggage that are their emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Like things like that. Like it's the ultimate creative, like it's the video game that Tim Burton wishes he made and cries that he didn't.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's
that sounds
absolutely
that is-
fantastic.
that's super Persona, that isn't it? Yeah. I think well, from what I've heard, this is like a lot of people's most anticipated game of the show. So I mean, I'm probably gonna have to jump on that Psychonauts 1 bandwagon at some point. Yeah, no release date, but when it's done, it's done. I mean, Double Fine can do no wrong in a lot of people's eyes. Next up was surprisingly another Star Wars game, and it's Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So we knew this was coming. We didn't know it would make an appearance at E3. From what I've heard, this is like the most ambitious Lego game they've made, which isn't saying much because the last 90% of the Lego games of the last few years have been not dog trash, but very uninspired.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, with Lego, because all the games are exactly the same, yet I love them all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I say
Well,
that,
not
but I
all of
mean,
them. Like,
all,
so,
I mean, they all are pretty much exactly the same, and that's why I like them, but I can't love them because I'm just doing the same shit over and over
it's
again.
the
But
completion addiction, isn't it?
yeah, it really is. But I mean, you go back and play like the original Lego Star Wars games, and they still hold up. Weirdly, like I don't know if that is probably just nostalgia talking, but like I don't know,
I
I feel
think
like
they
they
hold
hold
up.
up.
I think they've
Yeah,
got
I feel like there's the thing
they have a
about the new
charm.
ones is there's too much stuff in the new ones. It is you genuinely feel like you're just going around for completionist sake rather than actually doing something that you're enjoying. Whereas the original ones were like, yeah, as you say, charming and like actually had character. So this new one it's all 9 Lego Star Wars films of the Skywalker saga in one video game. I thought that it was just the original games remastered, like with new lighting and stuff. It turns out they're all brand new levels. They're all brand new levels remade for
You
this
said
like
brand new
brand new game.
levels, but isn't it like a different game as well? Like it
What do you mean?
plays differently.
It's open. It's open universe. So when you load up for the first time, you will be able to choose where you want to start. So you can start on any film you want. You don't have to do it in chronological order. And what it'll do is it'll load the universe that is like periodically accurate. So if you load into episode 4, you'll be able to travel to Tatooine, and Luke's like grandparents, aunt and uncle will be there. What's the planet that gets blown up? Shit. Alderaan.
Alderaan.
Is that the one? Alderaan. Yeah, Alderaan will be blown up. The Death Star will be there. Yavin 4. You can travel to that like planet. And then they also said that you'll be able to like buy new ships and stuff, and like genuinely just like fly to other planets. And you'll also be able to like come across like space battles that occur, which will play out very much like the Star Wars Battlefront 2, like ship battles. Um, yeah, the we've seen some like screen renders from it, and the lighting looks and like all the graphics look far better than they did in the originals. I mean, the Lego games have looked surprisingly good for like a good few years
Well,
now,
I
ever
think I
since
think I
they
think that's
released.
just because it's Lego, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter how bad the lighting is, as long as you get the sort of plasticky look, then it's
Yeah, but
charming in its own
even
way.
ever since the because they released Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which was a bit of a haphazard game to be honest. It literally just had it was. I mean, what was also nice about the originals is that each individual film was split up quite nicely into six levels,
Yeah,
whereas the new ones like try and like they spread out The Force Awakens across 15 like 16 levels. It's like you really don't.
yeah, you
That's what
can't
I
do
mean. It
that.
just like it's just boring after a while. So yeah, I'm not sure how many levels each film will be like told across, but hopefully not like the right amount. Like I think 5 and 6 levels per film, especially if there's 9 films, that's like what 45, 50 levels
Well,
easily.
from what you've described there, the gameplay per episode sounds fantastic. And I think
Yeah,
I think the most attractive thing to me is being able to hop between episodes in a sort of universe that makes sense. Being able to almost, not actually in terms of the story, but sort of time travel to see how the Star Wars universe changes. It'll be nice to
yeah,
like have physical context to for the actions in each film. And
mm,
even though it's a Lego film, that's something that a Star Wars, if it's sorry, even though it's a Lego game, that's something that a Star Wars game has never done before. So it'll be
yeah.
nice to kind of have this living sort of 3D model of the Star Wars universe that changes based on the events of each film. That sounds
Mm.
brilliant.
It also seems to be taking cues from what is arguably one of the most underrated Lego games, which is Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. I don't know if you played this one.
I didn't play that one.
This this was Lego Star Wars 3 was really really good. It was
Do you mean
it
three or
was
two?
Lego Star Wars 3.
Why is it called the
Because they
Clone
were
Wars?
because well they had Lego Star Wars 1, which was the uh, the prequel trilogy. Then they had Lego Star Wars 2, which was the original trilogy. Then
Uh-huh.
they released the complete. Then they released the complete saga, which was all of those like those two games just in one. And then they released Lego Star Wars 3, which was the Clone Wars.
Which is weird
Uh,
because Star Wars Episode 2, The Clone Wars.
yeah. Oh shit, that is a bit weird, isn't it?
That's why I'm
I didn't think about
confused
it
here
like that.
because I
No,
thought you were
it's
saying the wrong episode name. I was like, why isn't
no,
it
no,
called
no.
Revenge of the Sith? I'm just
It's
confused now.
based on it's based on the Clone Wars television series.
Oh, right. Okay. That makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. And basically that had space, but like you had like a big you took command of a big rebel ship, and you could like travel like you had like a big like a hologram galaxy map that you could pick a planet to, and then you'd say like I want to go here, and then you were like on the bridge of like I can't remember what the ships are called and stuff, but like a rebel star destroyer thing. And then you'd see it like go into hyperspace. You'd come out, and there was the planet through the windshield. And then you could go down into the hangar, get out into a like your own private ship, and you get into like a space battle with another like Imperial Star Destroyer. And you could land on the planet and do like it seems to be taking cues from that, which because that was genuinely an incredible. That also had a little bit of an RTS element in it. It was like a top-down third-person RTS thing where you commanded clone troopers around. That was really really cool. Go play that if you can. If you can, it's
See,
really really underrated Lego game.
I had no idea that existed.
Yeah, well, you didn't know Lego Battles existed till last week either. See, I
True.
am the Lego man. I fucking love Lego games.
I just love Lego.
Same. So yeah, I'm genuinely. They said it's not coming out this year. It's coming out 2020. Obviously because Episode 9 isn't out until December. So yeah, I'm very very much looking forward to that one. Project Dragon Ball Z. No one cares. 12 minutes is a.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry, that's very ignorant. It's out early 2020. There you are. That's all anyone needs to know. 12 minutes is a top-down game of what happens when you play as one of Agent 47's
Victims.
targets. Yeah. Genuinely looks quite interesting. I've heard great things about it from
Good
people
thing
who've been
about
there
this
at E3.
was I know it's immediately good because the trailer showed, and from start to end, I was engaged.
Yeah, it's very much like another Groundhog Day Lokigami.
The thing I remember mainly about this was that afterwards they kind of show it was like a one sentence synopsis of what the game's about, but
Yeah.
it said a game about a man.
Yeah.
It was like it said a game about a man trapped in a time loop, but they spaced out each part of it really badly, so it just looked like it said a game about a man.
Yeah.
And that was it.
sounds like a Mitchell and Webb skit, doesn't it?
Yeah,
This is a game about a man.
about a man.
Yeah. The only thing that annoyed me about that trailer was that in the apartment setting that they had, like the guy is like sitting on the sofa with his girlfriend, just sort of staring at the wall. Like there was no TV on the wall. I was like, who's doing that? Come on. Like, what century is this in? You're just gonna sit on the sofa and just cuddle? What are you?
Hell
some sort
yeah.
of millennial. Nah,
Maybe-
it's not realistic.
Maybe it's that good. Also, this game this game has sexy time.
Does it?
Yes.
I'm not allowed to do that. I'm Christian, so
No, that's a no sale.
it's a no sale from me. Yeah, looks interesting. Cool. 12 minutes. I don't know when it's coming out. Gears 5. No one cares. Elite controller. They announced a new one. It's got shorter hair triggers. Got a wraparound grip. Wireless charger included. And you can like adjust the tension of your sticks if you need to do that.
It
It's
was like
$180.
I mean, the trailer for this is like it's porn then. Like that's
do you know
essentially what it was.
I am as Christian as I am very very well up for some tech porn now and again.
I mean, same. But I'm okay with that when it's like a PC. When it's like, right, this is like a PC. When they show a controller, it looks like a parody. It does look a bit like a parody.
Oh, did you see? Because there was I think like a parody trailer released by like a custom controller manufacturer, and they did like a parody of like the controller porn, and someone lined it up and like frame well, not frame by frame but shot for shot.
Yeah.
Like the hair triggers, the like X-ray vision thing was perfect with this parody. And it's very funny. I mean, I'd say it's a parody. I am a sucker for a good controller. I own 3 Xbox One controllers. I don't have an Xbox One. I don't know why I keep buying them, but I love. They're just nice to like display on a
That's
thing.
the problem, isn't it? Like they're such nice display pieces. And the thing that I hate most of all, and I don't know if this is just me being like a shit consumer, but it's like I see these things and I see like RGB like RAM, and I see it and I make fun of it, But then if someone was to say, "Well, would you like some?" I go, "Yes." Like, it's like
fuck it. Yeah.
there's no other way to say it. Like, I make fun of them, but if someone said, "Oh, you can get this Elite controller for like 50 quid," I'm like, "There's the money."
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't know what I say. I just feel like an idiot.
$180 is very steep for a controller. I mean, especially when you consider that Xbox announced their Xbox One All Digital Edition, the Xbox One SAD the other month. Yeah, it's the S All Digital Edition. It works. Yeah, they announced that last month, and that's $200. So the fact that they're releasing a controller that is $20 cheaper than the actual console is quite mad. But I mean, if I had the money, I would absolutely have this, and I think I probably will in the next couple of years. If I like a birthday present or something, I'll just splash out on that or the new Sport Red controller, because that is I've got the Sport White one and it's gorgeous, but the Sport Red looks.
See, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with you having Sport Red and Sport White. I have no idea. Did you ever buy that DualShock one that was the color of a hospital?
No, I didn't.
Good.
No.
I'm bleeding. That was such a manky colour, and people were going mad about that.
Some of the PlayStation 4
green.
ones are a little bit weird. Yeah, it was like dark. It was Alpine. I think it was actually called Alpine, but it was like
Alpine
dark
green.
It was like dark green. It wasn't even dark green. It was like clinical green and white.
Yeah, it
and
looked like it would smell of an air freshener, but not a nice one.
Yeah. And then there was another one that was meant to be Crash Bandicoot themed that was orange and dark blue. But if you live in the UK, you'll know that it was the perfect colour scheme for B&M bargains. So it just looked scuffed as fuck.
I thought, where are you going to go with this? And I thought, fuck. B&M bargains. The most depressing place there is.
Google Crash Bandicoot DualShock 4 and then Google the B&M bargains
and
logo.
If you don't live in the UK and you know what Crash Bandicoot is, Google B&M bargains.
Oh, you're in for a right culture shock. Yeah. Where were we? Sorry, Elite controller. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's coming out in November. Whatever. If you've got $180 to burn, go buy it. You'll probably enjoy it. Dying Light 2, new trailer and a release date, spring 2020. Very excited. Yada yada yada.
Looks great. Not much to say. Can't wait to play it.
Yeah. Pretty much. Forza Horizon Lego expansion. I've written coming in July. I think I got that wrong because it's out.
It's
now.
out. Yeah.
It's out now. I also thought that this was part of the. I keep mistaking Forza for being a live service because it would fit the bill perfectly if it were, but it's not. It's a DLC pack.
Which is a shame.
You get it is a shame because I loaded it up. I forgot that I had it installed and loaded it up yesterday, getting ready to go and hoon around in a Lego car for a bit, and then realised I had to fork over 15 quid. I didn't.
I've seen gameplay of this, and I'm really annoyed how much money I'd have to spend to play it. It's not good enough that I'll spend money to play it, but if you have Forza Horizon, you basically owe it to yourself to play this DLC because it looks genuinely well made. It's got a very large section. It's got a very large new map section. I think it has. I've only seen 4 Lego cars, but I think it has more than that.
Right.
And honestly, just being able to kind of genuinely hoon and hear that sort of clack of Lego bricks as you mow stuff down, you can't. That's just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that there isn't a genuinely good Lego racing game out, to be honest, because they used to be, didn't they? They used to be like Lego races.
Of course there were. There were loads of Lego racing games, but they were very much...
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that, Lego, was it where you raced on an island and you had to, shit, I'm remembering now. I used to play this with you all the time. We used to, there was different locations, you started on an island and then you went to Mars, and then... That
wasn't Lego, but it was very similar to Lego. No, that was called Roll Cage.
No, I'm thinking of a different game. There was definitely a Lego racing game where you
I don't know how you remember.
Mars.
I don't know how you remember it, and I don't.
I'll have to find it later on.
I mean, there's definitely been Lego racing games. The problem with them is that they're very much they're products of their time, where it's very much a normal racing game with Lego in it. Whereas now you've got the opportunity with physics to have some proper knockdown shit and some I mean, that's basically what this new Forza is, but I'd like to see a fully fleshed Lego racing game, which has car destruction and things like that, or maybe even the ability to modify your own cars with bricks.
Yeah,
that would be super cool.
I did load up Forza Horizon 4 for a little bit yesterday, and I forgot just how perfect the driving is in that game. It's just, oh, it's so good. It's
it's
not,
the perfect.
it's by no means like realistic, but in terms of getting that sort of like arcade like skill
Yeah.
curve, it's so good. Just like effortlessly drifting round like a quaint little British town in a McLaren MP4-12C is something to behold. Oh, no, I think it was in a P1 actually yesterday. Um,
Like the name of that McLaren will never be cool.
no,
As cool as
I really
as
like.
that car is. Do you want to come for a ride in my M-412C?
That's from Top Gear, that isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In my head, it sounded cooler, and then I was like, no shit, it wasn't that. It was the P1, which does sound a lot better, but still
P1.
not quite as cool. I mean, my P1 just pulled up on the block in my P1.
Pull up in your P1. I love it.
Okay, Gears Funko Pop, no one cares. State of Decay 2 expansion, probably one person cares. We don't. Phantasy Star Online 2 is apparently a popular thing in the land of Asia.
It's like a very. It's basically their biggest MMO that's been going for so long. Like, I don't even know how long.
Yeah, I think it's been a long, long while. Well, it's debuting on
I think it
console.
predates WoW.
Probably does, to be honest. I'm obviously like updated and shit.
I don't know.
As MMOs do.
I don't know what this announcement is because it's gone free to play, debuting in the West with crossplay. Now, the only thing
Yeah.
that's going to now because it's free to play, I'm interested. The only thing that's going to properly interest me in this game is if it's genuinely been updated to suit modern times, because you can have a nice CG trailer all you want, but if I get in and it looks like an anime game from 2003, I'm not playing that shit.
Well, where do you live again, Owen? Just in general, like sort of rough area of like the Europe, or actually not even Europe, just the world.
Britain.
Britain. Oh well, that's a shame, Owen, because you don't live in America, and this is only coming to America.
What?
Did you not know this?
What? What kind of bollocks is
David-
this? Why is it not coming to Europe?
I don't know. But they said it says debuting in the West, only in the US, and for the foreseeable future, not Europe yet. They didn't give anything else on that.
Right, so
unlucky.
it's debuting in the West, but not all of the West. What are we now? Are we not the West? Are we the center? Are we the middle? Are we the not quite West? Thanks, Japan.
Well, you know how we have the Middle East. We're the Middle West.
Oh, right. Okay, I see. That makes sense.
That's what we are now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. I mean, there's not. I mean, we would have something to say about that, but we can't play it. Well, you probably can if you have a VPN, but whatever. I'm
VPN,
not
yeah.
interested.
That's crazy. I've never seen a America and Asia locked game.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
What is that? Like, what timeline are we in?
That's what I mean. Like, if you wanted to play this, like right now, you could use a VPN to play it, like from China.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be in Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that is the thing. Like, if you could use a VPN to play it from America and then play it in English, which I guess is a thing.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm not.
That's very that's very odd. That's interesting simply because of that.
Yeah. I was looking forward to that just to mention that and then move on. Crossfire X was touted as like this big PC centric thing that like PC that when PC nerds go home at night, this is what they wank to. I've never heard of it ever. It's called Crossfire franchise. I googled it. It's like a milsim thing.
This got me really excited when they announced it because I was like, a PC legend comes to PC. I'm like, oh, what could it be? Could be anything. Could be absolutely anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I've
Counter-Strike.
never heard of it. It's not really a legend, is it?
Nah, I've never heard of it. Anyway, it's coming first to console in 2020, which implies it'll be on PS4 at some point. I assume if it's a PC legend, it better be on PC. I mean, I say I've never heard of it. The trailer looked pretty damn good. I mean, it's a modern first-person shooter well, I don't even know if it is first-person. It's a modern shooter anyway.
It looked. It did look admittedly cool. I mean, it looked as cool as you can make a modern military game look.
Yeah,
Fuck's
and
sake,
yeah, I mean, Battlefield needs to go back to being modern, and if it doesn't, then I'll be playing this instead. Tales of Arise is a new game in the Tales franchise. I have no history of this whatsoever, so unless Owen has something to say about it.
I'll sum up the Tales franchise in 2 sentences. Basically, if you like JRPG combat, really fun, really fun, and if you like a good story, stay the fuck away.
Okay, fair enough. Right, moving on. Borderlands 3, there is a new expansion for Borderlands 2, which is supposed to set up Borderlands 3, which is interesting. A 7-year-old game getting DLC. I've not played. Have you touched this? Because we said we were going to play it, but I've not had a chance.
I've not played it yet. You know, like I was thinking about it, and I thought, right, this is going to be like a prequel to BL3. Like, oh,
yeah,
I instantly want to play that. Like, it's sort of the hype of the new Borderlands 2 DLC is like, oh, I want to jump on that shit. But then I thought, if this is a prequel to BL3, and I haven't played Tales yet, then surely, why don't I just wait until it's nearer the time? Like, play it the week of?
Yeah.
So I kind of know what's going on. Because I'm just going to forget. Well, maybe not forget, but I want it to be fresh in my mind. I want it to sort of be a hype thing. I don't want to, like... I see it being genuinely fun to have, like, BL3 on pre-install, beat this, and then just jump straight in.
Mm.
So I think that's what I'm going to do.
I think I'll do the same. Yeah, it's just interesting that, say, Borderlands 2 is 7 years old now and it's still getting DLC. Pretty cool. Yeah, I'll probably play it much nearer the time of Borderlands 3 coming out, which is quite soon, September, I think. Elden Ring, FromSoft on stage. This is the new collaboration project between FromSoft and George R.R. Martin, who wrote the Game of Thrones novels. It looks pretty... Well, imagine Dark Souls, but with Lord of the Rings, and that's pretty much what you've got, I think.
Dark
they didn't
Souls
show any
plus
gameplay.
Lord of the Rings plus Norse.
Yeah.
With a bit of Japan in. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
That one character they showed with like the red hair, who was huge. That was a very Asian influenced design.
He looked like a cross between Gwyn and Ganon, I thought.
He was quite Ganon. So, I mean, from that trailer, it was so high concept and sort of floaty that I don't actually know what the game world's going to look like. So I'm interested to see that.
I mean, you can say the same about all Dark Souls trailers, to be honest, but yeah, I mean, with Dark Souls trailers, at least you have some sort of source material to go off, but we literally have nothing here, so there's not very much to say. All right, I'm going to move on quick to xCloud. They showed off public hands-on at E3. You can use, you don't have to use an Xbox server for streaming. You can actually use your console for streaming, which is essentially what like the PS4 did with PlayStation Now. Because you used to be able to like stream to your Vita from like anywhere, I believe. Because I remember Rooster Teeth were talking about like when they were filming Laser Team, they used to like do dailies on their PS Vita, like while their PS4s were on at home. I think that the experience was not great. But if you're just doing like something like dailies and stuff, it's not an issue. But yeah, that's really interesting that you won't have to like you potentially won't have to shell out for like a subscription service just to access like a server box. They talked about Project Scarlett. They talked about the hardware will be...
The trailer for this was
more hardware
horrendous.
porn. It was horrendous. It wasn't even hardware porn. They didn't show anything. They just had some sort of interviews with
It was beard
devs.
porn. That's what I'm going to call it now.
Go on.
That's what I'm going to call these kinds of trailers now. I think there was one other trailer during this E3 where I said, I swear to God, if this trailer is just a bunch of beardy men looking at monitors using graphic tablets, and that's it, I'm sick of it.
That was during ScreenX, I think. Yeah, so the hardware
that's what this was. It was people just talking. It was a bunch of talking heads talking to camera, telling me about some specs, and it was the now memed thing of that woman saying, "We've never seen frame rates like this before, 120 frames per second." And then, like, I open my Nvidia thing and look at my monitor's 144 in the top left. I'm like, what? Like, it's like, you can't say that. It's not a thing to say.
I've got mine at home is my laptop's got 120 FPS, 120 hertz screen, and my 1440p panel at home's got 165 hertz. I mean, yes, this is the first thing. I mean, I say that. I mean, this is like, it's great that console people will finally have, a decent standard
I know, but
of frame rate.
they should have at least said like we've never seen frame rates like this on console. You can't just
I think
say
they,
we've never
I
seen
think they
frame
did.
rates.
I think it.
I don't think they
I think
did. You
they.
know,
I don't know. In my head, I feel like it's just been paraphrased that much that it's lost the console
it's just
bit.
weird. It's weird to hear someone say we've never seen frame rates like 120 before. I'm like, we have.
It is a little
Lies.
bit, yeah.
Move on. Like, it's just weird.
See, what we haven't really seen is 8K, which they said that this will be capable of, probably at about 12 FPS, but whatever.
For the 5 people who own an 8K TV.
Yeah, because no one owns that shit yet. Then again, when I think when the PS4 first came out, not many people had 4K tellies there then, and that was capable of 4K upscaling.
Yeah, that's upscaling. That's not even native.
Yeah,
If it's not
true.
native, who cares?
So it also includes like a really, really fast SSD, which will, I mean, that's what the new PlayStation's going for as well, like really fast load times, and that'll also having a fast storage device is really underrated. Like it really does help with texture streaming and things like that, with loading things in quickly. So that'll do loads for.
I really underestimated SSDs. Like, well, who cares about faster loading? But back in the days where there was only one battle royale, and that was PUBG, me getting an SSD made that game work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally work. It didn't work without it.
Just to have the textures like load in properly is it. Yeah. It'll also apparently be capable of ray tracing. Coming holiday 2020, which is also when Halo Infinite will be launching.
That's a launch title.
Yeah, Halo Infinite will be a launch title, which will be huge for the Xbox, because that was the main thing that Xbox didn't launch with one of what arguably like their biggest franchise. So yeah, Halo Infinite will also be available on the Xbox One
And PC.
And PC. Yeah, and Project Scarlett is supposedly completely backwards compatible with all Xbox One games, but I don't think I've seen an official source on that, so don't quote me on that. But I think that's what they're going. I mean, they'd be mad to, right? They've been like touting this whole like backwards compatibility with the 360, adding brand new game, like loads and loads of new games to the service, like weekly. So they'd be mad to not make it backwards compatible with
It will be.
with
It will
Xbox
be.
One games.
Yeah, they'd be crazy not to.
Yeah. And then to round out the conference, they showed off Halo Infinite, like a CG trailer, and announced the release date. We still don't know much about the story.
Fantastically shot and well acted trailer.
Oh, it was, yeah, perfect. I mean, even if you're not a Halo like fanboy, which arguably I'd say that me and you are, but
we're
haven't
a
played a Halo
fanboy,
game.
but we don't know shit about the lore. It's so sad.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I mean,
we need to
that
make
being
a
said,
concerted effort, don't we? We need to make a concerted effort to go through stuff like Hunt the Truth, maybe read some of the books, make
Yeah.
sure we're up to date so we know what's going on. Because I absolutely adore Halo, but I had no idea.
It's been difficult for us because we haven't had an Xbox for 5, 6, 7 years now.
Well, yeah, but I've played 4, and I didn't have the opportunity to play 5.
Yeah, exactly. I
But
mean,
then
I've
again,
played
5's getting
through
retconned
everything
a little
from
bit.
3 onwards, besides 5.
Yeah, but then again, like I haven't played 2, which is like everyone's favorite. 5 is getting retconned, I believe.
Yeah,
Not
apparently.
fully, but a little bit. So I really don't know. I hope that guy who was in the trailer, like the sort of, was he Latino? I couldn't quite pin down his like accent.
I think so.
Like Mexican. I hope he's in the
Yeah.
rest of the game because I love him from the start. He's a great
Yeah, he
looking
was
character.
super cool. I got a great. I think I said to you while we were watching it, I was like, "Fuck!" Like you forget how iconic Master Chief is. Like he plonks that like
He's got such
plonk's
a
not the right word
presence.
for it. Yeah, and I think that is the whole point of like the trailer. Like he is the emotional like symmetry is that he is the embodiment of hope, and that is a theme that like I've been reading up on like on the I because my sleep schedule's been so fucked. At like 3 a.m. the other night, I went down a deep rabbit hole of like searching up like deep Halo lore. And it like the whole like the Spartan 2 program was meant to be like the embodiment of hope for the human race. And just like seeing him like get brought in there, and then like it made me it made me laugh when he like pushed that door out of the way, but in like a way that was like fuck. He's just like he's got such a presence. Like he is like an unstoppable force to be reckoned with.
He's basically Doom Guy, but replace rage with like hope.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait for it. I mean, Halo Master Chief Collection. I think all of the titles should be out by the time Infinite hits at the end of 2020.
Oh
So
yeah,
we should be able to get
it
caught
wouldn't
up
make
by
any
then.
sense if they weren't.
Yeah, exactly. And that was Microsoft, which was probably the longest one. The other ones are a lot shorter, and there's arguably a lot less to talk about with the other ones. But yeah, that was probably my favourite conference of all of them. So I hope you enjoyed our discussion about the Microsoft press conference. If you're interested to hear more about the rest of E3, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on Spotify or whatever you usually listen to podcasts on, all popular ones through RSS feeds or however Podbean works. Yeah, we should have Bethesda and the rest of them all up at some point during the week. So make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at JoshyBoyles2 if you're interested in anything that comes out of me, and Owen as well. I think he's at Zanzibar Crumpet on Thank you very much for listening. Catch you next time.